My wife whispered at dinner, "I'm in love with someone else." I just said, "Good to know." That night, I pulled my $80,000 from her startup, canceled our house deal, and moved out. 3 days later, her new man called me begging for help. I'm 34, software engineer, comfortable income, decent credit. I don't live flashy, but I've always believed in being prepared, financially, emotionally, and otherwise. My wife, Tessa, is 30. We met when she was still working retail and finishing fashion school. What pulled me in was her drive. She had vision, ambition, and this creative spark that made her believe she could build her own fashion brand from scratch. I respected that, enough to support her through it. Over the 6 years we were together, 4 of them married. I helped her get out of her student loan debt, covered months of rent when she was between gigs, and even fronted about $80,000 overtime into her startup. She had big dreams. I wanted to believe in them as much as she did. She wasn't manipulative. Not at first. She was just optimistic and bad with numbers. I was the numbers guy. She was the idea machine. I stayed in the background, making sure we had insurance, taxes filed, credit scores clean, and bills paid on time while she built her dream. We were a good team. Or so I thought. About a year ago, she floated the idea of buying a house. She found this modern place she loved, big windows, quiet neighborhood, decent commute for both of us. She wanted it to be in her name. For once, she said, "I want to own something that's mine." I wasn't offended. She said it was symbolic. I get symbolism. Still, I made sure we did things right. Loan in both our names, legal protection on my end. Quietly. Not because I didn't trust her. Just because I'm not the kind of person who takes big leaps without a parachute. Then about 6 months ago, things began shifting. It started subtly. A few more work events than usual. Weekend girls' trips that left at odd hours and came back later than expected. New outfits she never wore around me. Texts she tilted away from my view. I didn't press. I'm not the jealous type. But I noticed. She got impatient with small things. Forgot inside jokes. We stopped eating together as much. Sex? Maybe once a month. And even then, she felt somewhere else. There wasn't a big fight. There were no cruel words. Just a growing space between us. One I wasn't invited to fill. Then one night, we were having dinner. Nothing special, leftover Thai, TV humming in the background, just the two of us. She put her fork down and said it like she was commenting on the weather. "I'm in love with someone else." I didn't look up right away. I finished chewing, took a sip of water, then looked at her. She wasn't crying. She wasn't angry. She looked relieved, like saying it had lifted some weight. "Good to know," I said. Her face twitched. That definitely wasn't the reaction she expected. I think she'd prepped for a dramatic scene, yelling, accusations, maybe tears. But I just nodded, stood up, and started clearing the plates. She watched me for a while, confused, then quietly said she thought we should take space. Maybe she'd stay with a friend. I told her that was fine. What she didn't know was, I already knew who he was. Some guy she met at a photography workshop last fall. I'd seen the texts by accident when she left her laptop open one day. She called him a rare kind of soul, and said he really sees her. I didn't react then. I've never been loud. Never been reactive. I just waited. And that night, once she left with her overnight bag, I sat down at my desk and opened every account we shared. The story starts there. The house was silent after she left. Just me, the ticking kitchen clock, and my laptop screen glowing like it was waiting for me to do what I'd already made peace with. I started with the mortgage. We hadn't signed yet, but I'd co-signed the application, and that was enough to give it weight. One quick call the next morning to our broker, and I pulled my name. No argument, no fuss. I explained there had been a change in our relationship. They understood. Tessa didn't qualify on her own, not with her uneven income and credit score still recovering from years of minimum payments. By noon, the pre-approval was withdrawn. Then came the startup money. I had the paperwork tucked away in a folder labeled taxes and legal. When she asked me to invest in her fashion line, I agreed, but I had a private agreement drawn up that gave me the right to withdraw anytime before marriage. She signed it without reading more than the first paragraph. I didn't think I'd need it, but I've never liked leaving things to chance. I exercised the clause that night. Sent notices to the payment processor and her vendor accounts. Within 24 hours, the funds were gone. Not stolen, just returned to the source. Suppliers who relied on that cash? They paused orders. Production halted. Finally, I logged into my employer benefits portal. Tessa had been on my health plan as a domestic partner. We hadn't filed the marriage certificate yet, so she was still considered a dependent under an engagement status. I removed her. The change was effective immediately. I didn't do it out of anger. Honestly, I didn't feel angry. I felt clean, like I was finally stepping out of a fog I hadn't noticed I was living in. By the second night, her friend texted asking if I'd heard from her. I said yes, we'd spoken briefly. That was true. I didn't offer anything else. By the third day, I was gone. I packed a bag, forwarded my mail to a P.O. box, and left. I didn't slam doors. I didn't leave notes. I just quietly booked a short-term rental on the other side of town and set up remote work there. She'd always said she wanted space to figure herself out. Now she had it. That same afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. I let it go to voicemail. Later, I listened. It was him, *her*, new guy. The photographer. Voice cracking like he was doing everything he could not to sound desperate. Said something about things getting too real too fast, that she was spiraling, crying nonstop, accusing him of ruining her life. He asked if I could talk to her, help her see reason, or at least take her back for a while until she stabilizes. I didn't respond. That evening, she showed up at my old place. I had cameras still running on the doorbell. She stood outside in the same hoodie she used to wear on our Sunday coffee runs, sobbing. Eventually, she left. A few hours later, I got a text. I made a mistake. I thought I wanted something else. He's not who I thought he was. He thinks my business is dumb. He laughed at my mood board. Another one followed. Please just talk to me. Please. We can fix this. I miss you. There wasn't anything to fix. Not anymore. The next morning, she tried calling. Then again. Then from her mom's phone. I didn't pick up. A few hours later, I got an email. It was long, full of apologies, rationalizations, and late realizations. She said she hadn't meant to fall for someone else, that she was confused, and thought I'd always be there while she figured herself out. She said she missed our routines, our grocery trips, the way I folded her laundry just right, the way I remembered small things, like how she liked her eggs. Funny how you remember those details when your backup plan turns out to have no plan at all. But it wasn't just about the cheating. It was about the months of silence, the slow withdrawal, the fact that while I was still building a life with her, she had already started auditioning someone else to take my place. Her dream house? That was gone. Without my credit and income on the application, the deal was off. The lender pulled the file after I withdrew, and they flagged the property as not financially feasible for single applicant status. She hadn't even been told yet. Her startup? Crumbling. Without the funds I'd pulled, vendors stopped responding. Her manufacturer canceled the next production run. One supplier even sent her a non-payment risk notice. All of it hit like dominoes. She didn't have a job with benefits. She didn't have savings. She'd always reinvested everything into her vision. Now, she didn't even have health insurance. She'd been relying on mine the whole time, and now even that lifeline was gone. And me? I wasn't angry. I wasn't even sad anymore. I'd spent so long quietly investing, financially, emotionally, even mentally, only to realize I was the foundation she assumed would never move, no matter how much weight she dumped on it. When she realized the house had slipped away, she showed up again. I didn't answer the door, but I heard her outside, shouting, crying, eventually just sitting on the steps. She stayed for almost an hour. Then she left. Later that night, another message came. You're trying to ruin my life. I read it. I didn't reply, but I said the words out loud to no one in particular. I didn't ruin your life. I just stopped funding the version of it where I was being used. She tried reaching out to mutual friends. Some of them called me. I told them the truth. No embellishment. Just what happened. A few were shocked. A few admitted they'd seen it coming. A week later, I got a forwarded email from her former business partner. The startup was done. Officially. Suppliers walked, orders canceled, and no new investor would touch it after seeing the instability. 2 months later, someone told me she'd moved in with her parents. Quietly. No big Instagram goodbye. Just vanished. And me? I kept living. I moved into a smaller place, got a dog, started spending more time hiking. I never posted about her, never tried to ruin her reputation. I didn't need revenge. I didn't want it. All I wanted was to stop pretending I was okay with being treated like a safety net while she chased a fantasy. People say I handled it coldly. Maybe. But when someone ends the relationship and assumes you'll still hold the safety rope, sometimes the kindest thing you can do is let go.